Teitlebaum.
Everybody gather near. The doctor's in the house, so lend him your ear. The things he can say might even make your day. He might even help your pain go away. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. Sure, he can tell you just what to do.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Ron here with Dr. Jerry on Dr. Ron Unfiltered, Uncensored, and of course we have Freddie Cooper who wrote that little song for us, a Grammy Award-winning artist, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Ron, and today we are honored to have Dr. Jacob Teitlebaum as our guest. But before we do that, every show, I ask you to have an attitude of gratitude, because gratitude not only boosts joy and general life satisfaction, it's also the best single predictor of good relationships and benefits both sanity and physical health. And this is going to be important today because gratitude has measurable beneficial effects on mood, neurotransmitters, serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, inflammatory cytokines, immune function, blood pressure, blood sugar, testosterone, that's a sex hormone, ladies and gentlemen, oxytocin, a social binding hormone, ladies and gentlemen, and cortisol, the stress hormone. An attitude of gratitude, ladies and gentlemen, as we get on to today's program. This program contains general medical information. The medical information heard on this program is not advice and should not be treated as such. The information is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You should never delay seeking medical advice, disregard medical advice, or discontinue medical treatment because of information heard on this program. You are encouraged to confirm any information obtained from this program with other sources and review all information regarding any medical condition or treatment with your physician. Now that that's out of the way, let's introduce Dr. Jerry Smith, a co-host here and seasoned practitioner from Langhorne, Pennsylvania, and now the star of a Netflix documentary. Good afternoon, Dr. Jerry.
Thank you, Dr. Ron. It's a pleasure to be on, and I'm really excited about this show because I think Dr. Teitlebaum has some really powerful information to share with our audience.
I agree, and let's get on with this show, ladies and gentlemen. As we said, Dr. Teitlebaum, I've known of him for many, many years, and he probably remembers when the Townsend newsletter was just an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Now it's a full journal. But he recently caught my attention. Okay, I see something dropped out here. When I read about it, he has a new book out, Diabetes is Optional. Okay. Dr. Teitlebaum is a board-certified internist. He's the author of the popular free iPhone and Android application Cures A to Z, which has ranked in the top 10 of all health and wellness downloads on iTunes. Dr. T is a board-certified internist, as I said, that has written this just interesting book on Diabetes is Optional. Okay, I see that Dr. Teitlebaum is back again. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just see if he is here, and then we'll get on with it. Dr. Teitlebaum, is that you, sir?
Yes, welcome. Good to be with you, Ron. Great to be on the show, Jerry. I look forward to teaching everybody today that both diabetes and fibromyalgia are optional. And I love, and the more I think about it, they are so related with the autoimmunity and the everything else involved, and we'll talk about it. But Dr. Teitlebaum, if you would, I don't know what website that you'd like to use for our audience to visit when they want information on your programs. For information on how to get well, the website is vitality101.com. For getting products, it's E and like Nancy, D like David, fatigue.com.
Okay, nfatigue.com and Vitality 101, ladies and gentlemen. Well, diabetes, right? It's a especially type 2. It's increasingly common problem, as you have well pointed out. So, got another call. So tell us why, in your opinion, is it optional, and what can be done about it, and what is the, in your opinion, the cause of this type 2, as they call it, diabetes?
Well, both of these conditions used to be extraordinarily rare. Most physicians would never see a case of type 2 adult diabetes in their entire career if you go back 300-400 years ago, if you look at the medical anthropologists. Now we're looking at about a third to a half of Americans are predicted that they're going to get diabetes. And there are a number of reasons, and all of these are reversible. The first one is we get about 140 pounds of sugar per person per year added to our diet and food processing. That's 18% of our calories. Another 18% from white flour and loss of fiber. These are two of the critical things that are going on. Weight gain because of this diet. Ask any farmer. You want to fatten up an animal, you carb load them. And we're like a great big flock over here in herd getting fattened up to the gills. Lack of exercise, low sunshine, testosterone, low testosterone in men, even if the test is normal, or high testosterone in women, will both cause diabetes.
Dr. Teitlebaum, can I just stop you there for 1 second, because you mentioned something that I know you've written about and we talk about a lot, quote unquote normal. What does that mean? What is normal?
Well, it's funny. I'm on with Dr. Oz a fair bit. He's a friend of mine, and he likes an analogy that I like to use to explain what the normal range means. And the thing is, most doctors have no idea where the normal range on a blood test comes from. But all they do is they take 100 people, and the 95 in the middle of the normal range, called 2 standard deviations. So if you're not in the lowest 2.5% of the population or the highest 2.5%, you're normal. So here's an analogy that'll make it easier to understand. Say I want to get a normal shoe size. I take 100 people, and the normal shoe size will be 6 to 13. Now, I live in Hawaii, and we leave our shoes at the door so we don't track lava in. And say I get my shoes mixed up with my wife, and suddenly she's wearing my size 12, and I have her size 8. We both go to the shoe doctor. The shoe doctor will say, it's both in the normal range. There's nothing wrong with your shoes.
I love that analogy.
That's great. That's great. And do you agree? Well, we had the infamous Dr. William Wong on, and he said, when you're 75 and your doctor says your testosterone is normal for your age, he says you don't want it to be normal for your age. You want it to be normal for a 30, 35-year-old person.
Absolutely. And I would just give your doctor a size 6 shoe and say, Doc, this is in the normal range. I want you to wear these shoes to our next visit, and then let's talk.
Okay.
Because let them walk a mile in your shoes.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's great. Okay, so let's go on with the causes low testosterone. So
we're looking at the diet. We're looking at lack of exercise, vitamin D deficiency, low testosterone. I like to keep the testosterone level in men at about 800. And in women, if it's high, you want to bring it down. Low thyroid and low magnesium. Magnesium deficiency has been shown to be associated. And again, the blood tests are meaningless for this. Most every American in this country is magnesium deficient because we lose half the magnesium in food processing. And that's been associated with a marked increased risk of metabolic syndrome and diabetes. Okay, and we, again, just by doing this program, we know that vitamin D is really is associated with magnesium. If you're low in magnesium, you don't process the vitamin D properly. Do you agree with that? All these things play together. Okay, I agree. So we have this. We have people getting heavier. As we say, they keep their meat on the seat. They're not exercising. What else are they doing to get so heavy and get this blood sugar up? Well, these are the key things. And in my book, we talk about how to go after each of these. Getting sunshine, that's easy. The current medical advice to avoid sunshine is insane. The proper advice is avoid sunburn, not sunshine. Go for a walk in the sunshine. Do something fun. Find something you enjoy so you stick with it. The testosterone, you don't want to use shots. Just the bioidentical cream or the pellets work very, very well. For the magnesium and vitamin D, There's a vitamin powder I like to use because it has all 50 of the key nutrients in optimal levels. It's called the Energy Revitalization System vitamin powder. This way you don't have to take handfuls of pills all day. You just get the one drink and you're pretty much covered for the micronutrients. So that's a very nice way to simplify all of that. And there's an herbal mix that's really coming to be a superstar. There are a number of things for diabetes. One is called Sucantrel D. As Hintonia is the herb, and it decreases glycosylated hemoglobin by about 1% over 6 months, which if normal is about 5.4, over 6 is prediabetes, 7 is diabetes. You go from 7 to 6, not diabetic anymore. So that the Sucantrel D I recommend for everybody with diabetes, along with the multivitamin. And then berberine. It's cheap herb, and therefore we don't hear anything about it. Also, 200 to 500 milligrams 3 times a day, remarkable for bringing down blood sugar and cholesterol.
Wow. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Dr. Teitlebaum. His new book, Diabetes is Optional. It's available on Amazon. So, are all type 2 diabetics insulin resistant?
Not all, but almost by definition, they generally are. And again, I want the fasting morning insulin to be under 10. Ignore the normal range.
Okay, and your hemoglobin A1C?
I like that to be under 6. By the time I'm seeing it up to 5.7, 5.8, these people are showing signs of being pre-diabetic, especially if you have high blood pressure, high cholesterol, spare tire around your abdomen. These are signs that you're looking at going diabetic if you don't do something about it. And the measures that help all, the high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, these are all the same illness in most people, or the same condition.
Yeah. Dr. Teitlebaum, have you come across any common denominators with dental infections like periodontal disease as being a factor?
Well, Jerry, it's an interesting thing. We're seeing that more importantly in Alzheimer's, where there are certain bacteria that my impression is that the body is triggering an immune reaction to something that's part of the bacteria. And the way that we go after that with antibiotics doesn't work because these bacteria live in biofilms. So we're seeing a lot of immune changes from the bacteria. There's a recent study in childhood diabetes, more than adult diabetes, where giving tuberculosis vaccine, or BCG, was very, very helpful because it shifted the immunity. I think we're going to find that a lot of the dental infections, and in fact, there's even a technique to desensitize to the dental plaque that has shown some success in Alzheimer's. I would not be surprised. We know that the immune changes are critical for childhood diabetes. I will not be surprised to see it be the case for adult diabetes.
No, thank you.
Jerry, are you a dentist by any chance? Or
yes, I am. And we see a lot of infections contributing to all kinds of medical issues, from cancer to liver problems, emphysema. It just, there's over 400 different bacteria in the mouth, and I don't have to tell you, they can travel through the lymphatic system to any part of the body.
Mm-hmm. Can I offer a quick tip for you with the work you're doing? Most of these bacteria live in biofilms, and there's some bacteria that are synergistic in creating those biofilms. So it would be important to add things like silver or even a bismuth compound to break up the biofilms, using it topically while you're, whether you're doing irrigation or instilling peroxide or whatever else. After you're done with that, consider putting in a mild solution of silver or even bismuth, although that might be irritating. I would just stick with the silver.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned silver, because in my reservoir of water that I use to, spray through the handpiece or flush from the syringe, I put colloidal silver in my reservoir just as a protective measure.
You're already way ahead of 99.99% of doctors and physicians.
Thank you. Well, the other thing, Dr. Teitlebaum, that I find fascinating, since we've had interviews with Dr. William Wong, we've been using his systemic enzyme, which is a pharmaceutical grade form of serrapeptase, And that's phenomenal for breaking down biofilms.
Yes, and more in the blood vessels and things along those lines. Serrapeptidase, nattokinase, lumbrikinase, those three I will sometimes go with for biofilms. In gut, I'm going to go with bismuth. That's why Pepto-Bismol works. And then colloidal silver. These are all synergistic.
But we hear such disinformation about colloidal silver being harmful. I mean, I believe it's purposely designed to throw the people off the track.
Ron, silver is dangerous. Don't you know that? The reason it's dangerous is they haven't paid the $400 million regulatory fee. And Dad's right, if you have that, you're going to have anarchy. You can't have that.
Yeah, the old dairy farmers put a silver dollar in the bottom of the milk can to prevent bacteria. You had silverware. Bacteria couldn't grow in there, but it's dangerous.
It's dangerous because they don't pay the fees because they're not patentable, and it's impossible to pay the regulatory fees for anything that's not patentable and therefore highly expensive.
Exactly. Dr. Tate, we're having a lot of people on that's why I'm in and out here asking about this diabetes, and they want to know how do you get Hintonia? How does it work? And if you don't have diabetes, I guess somebody here has read your book. They asked about, well, it's supposed to help with weight loss. Can it be used for weight loss?
It hasn't been studied for that. It slows down the digestion and absorption of carbohydrates. Most things that do that do cause weight loss as well, but it hasn't been studied for that. It also has a compound that increases the insulin sensitivity. So what you'll find is at 3 months, you'll get about a 0.5% drop. At 6 months of use, it drops it down about 1%. You can get it anywhere. You can get it on Amazon. We do have it on our website at vitality101.com, but Amazon, health food stores, it's easy to find. And the Sucantrel D, berberine, also Amazon or any health food store is going to have it.
Yeah, and I have a type 1 diabetic that's asking, how about if they're on insulin and they've been diabetic since their teens, can it hurt them or should they give it a try?
It's not going to hurt, but that it may increase their own sensitivity. Type 1 diabetes is lack of insulin production. That's where insulin is life-saving. It's not lack of insulin sensitivity. It may slow the breakdown, so it may help a little bit. Certainly reasonable to add that in. But it's more for the adult diabetics. For the type 1 diabetics, what you're going to see is massive magnesium loss because their sugars go so high. And that aggravates the neuropathy and a host of the other problems. So as long as your kidney function is okay, make sure the multivitamin powder, the energy revitalization system, will have 200 milligrams of a highly absorbed magnesium. So I would start with that. Again, if one has kidney failure, then you can't use magnesium without a doctor's supervision.
Yeah, Dr. T, have you come across any information regarding the use of MSM and vitamin C for type 2 diabetes?
Not so much for those. These things can help with some of the pain patterns that you're going to see. And certainly you want to make sure that you're not vitamin C deficient, but usually 50, 60 milligrams a day or 500 milligrams in a smoker will take care of that. And I'm not convinced that higher doses will have that much of a higher effect. I will note that lipoic acid intravenously by a holistic doctor is remarkable for diabetic neuropathy.
I want to just throw you a little curveball here because we talk a lot about statin drugs, and statins have been associated with an increase in diabetes. And they've also been associated with a lot of muscle pain. So when we get talking about fibromyalgia, I want you to comment on that. What do you think about the causes of diabetes? Maybe that instead of adding something, you can just take something away.
Well, it's funny. I was talking with Dr. Oz and his wife, Lisa, and Dr. Oz said, what do you think about statins? And I said, well, in my humble opinion, it's a $29 billion a year scam. And Lisa just looked at him and said, see, I told you. For those with known heart disease, statins are lifesavers. For those that are simply treating a high cholesterol without known heart disease, let's put this in perspective for the listeners. Statins are associated with about a 2 to 5% decreased risk of heart attack death. If you torture the data with the Jupiter study and select mix things, you might sneak that up to 10. So let's see what else does heart disease lower risk. Having a cat is associated with a 30% lower risk of heart disease. Eating a little square of chocolate each day is associated with a 45% lower risk of dying of heart attack. Statins, 2 to 5%. So I think I'm going to eat a little bit of chocolate every day.
Bring on the chocolate.
And pet my cat, yep. Mm-hmm.
And how much chocolate?
Just a little bit. It's not low calorie. Just a small square was all that was used in the study.
Organic, of course, right?
No, it doesn't have to be dark.
Oh,
It
okay.
can be, in the study, it was all commerce. So go for the chocolate that tastes best to you. And then if you can find the dark chocolate that tastes the best, go with that. And better yet, Lily's has a nice sugar-free chocolate. Russell Stover does also. But that one has more of a laxative effect. And, you know, to me, this whole concept in America, we look at everything that feels good is bad for you. And that's a Puritan concept. You know, basically, Puritans were so annoying, they chased them out of Europe at gunpoint and said, go on the ocean and fall over the edge of the earth, we're going to kill you. And because they said everything that feels good is bad for you. Now, whether you're looking at it from an evolutionary perspective or from a benign, loving God, that's the most insane frigging thing I've ever heard of. You know, things that feel good generally are good for you. Now, the food processors fool our taste buds and stuff and make it toxic. But no, the things that we enjoy, coffee is a health food, tea is a health food, chocolate's a health food, salt is healthy for most people unless they have heart failure. I mean, give me a break. Come on. Why would things that feel good be bad for you?
And how about a little cinnamon in your coffee or tea? That's supposed to help to regulate blood sugar, right?
You'd have to put about 2 tablespoons. So it's not quite, you know, but it tastes good. I have a cup of coffee here, and I have some cinnamon stevia in it. But no, the amounts you have to get are not really doable to really have a significant effect on blood sugar.
Okay, so junk foods, but, you know, we talk about these artificial sweeteners now. We talk about them here on this podcast about how they can confuse your body into storing fat and making your blood sugar go up. Do you have any experience with that?
Well, here's the thing. We're set up so our body knows when we're having food coming in, so it can stimulate insulin release and the rest. And especially if it's a lot of carbohydrates, it'll stimulate it more. So the first role is if our taste buds get stimulated, you're going to see an insulin spike. And that you're going to see from anything that has a sweet taste. And that I'm just willing to suck that up and take that on as a cost of enjoying my sweet tooth. But when you have these things, like if you have a 48-ounce Big Burp soda with 36 spoons of sugar, or you're having a high sugar and taking the rest, now you're constantly stimulating that insulin production going on for hours at high levels. So in terms of diabetes, I consider the non-sugar sweeteners to be much better, with stevia being the best. But again, it's not everything does have a certain pro and con to it. So the artificial sweeteners are no exception. I think that the blue packet sweetener, my impression is somebody got paid off at the FDA or it never would have been approved. The pink packet has the best safety record. And the yellow packet, the jury's still out.
Well, the FDA is the best government agency money can buy. We know that.
They're good people. They really are. In a system that's so horribly broken that I think is causing way more harm than good. But the people are good people. I've never met anybody there who wasn't to love.
Excellent.
Seriously.
All right, so something else that's associated with diabetes, we have not mentioned it, and before we change the subject here a little bit, is how diabetes ages your brain and how it's sometimes called, diabetes type 3. Could you talk a little bit about
Alzheimer's.
that?
Yeah. What you have is basically the theory, and it still is, because they did the sniff study for inhaled insulin, for snorted insulin, and, you know, there are a lot of hopes on it, but that was a bust. So, but the concept is that the brain cells have insulin resistance, so they basically starve, and that's one of the triggers for Alzheimer's. I don't think Alzheimer's is a single, let me say dementia. Most people diagnosed with Alzheimer's don't have Alzheimer's. They have other causes of dementia that they find at autopsy. But most neurologists don't know that because it doesn't sell Alzheimer medications. So you have to look at dementia as not being homogeneous. There's a lot of different triggers. I think the dental plaque, I'm tempted to run with a study. In fact, Jerry, maybe if you're interested in doing a study on that with me, I'd be tempted to explore that with you. because that's an important area that I think would be really helpful, but that's for later. And so I think that taking care of the insulin sensitivity is important for Alzheimer's as well, but I think it's a very different mechanism that's triggering the problem in that situation.
And before we leave diabetes, I mean, again, just from doing this podcast for these past 5 years, we talk about the BPA's, the PCBs, the mercury, the phthalates, the cadmium, pesticides. Do you believe in any kind of detox for type 2 diabetics to maybe get rid of some of these heavy metals and chemicals, or I don't know, just what?
We have 85,000 chemicals in the environment, and that's just the biochemistry. Now take a look at the biophysics. We have so many different frequencies going on. It's like giving a bazooka to a 3-year-old. We have no idea, nor will anybody look at it because there's too much big money involved to stand in the way of doing that. And but the thing is, I would not. If I had to pick any time in human history up to now to live, it would be today. It would be now. To me, this is the best time in human history. But I challenge you to point to anything that I can't make an erratic about, and that's no way to live. That's toxic, and that's what the media tends to do. Instead, you want to give your body what it needs to optimize its detoxification system. Again, the energy revitalization system has glutamine, glycine, cysteine, vitamin C, all these other nutrients that help the body to detox, get plenty of water. And then if there's a higher index of suspicion in an individual, then you can consider things like chelation or DNPS or, any of a host of other detoxification. A good detox, sauna. There's all kinds of things that are just common sense for detoxification. But that's something that is not a one-size-fits-all.
Yeah. Okay. Dr. T, have you noticed any relationship between the vaccinations and the type 2 diabetes?
No.
Okay.
Nor fibromyalgia, because I've asked over 1,000 people, over 3,000 at this point. I'm just not seeing it. It's a minimal percent. Now, that's not to say that we should be turning our children into pincushions and giving them every vaccination that comes by. But there are pros and cons to them, and the way we're doing it is currently absurd. Not doing it at all, I think, would be equally absurd. Giving unit dose vials that don't have mercury in them is just like basic common sense. Don't shoot mercury into our kids' blood vessels or bodies, But so people have become very polarized on the issue. It's almost become like politics, where everybody's being taught to hate each other, which is also toxic. And there's a middle path that where there's just common sense to be involved.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Dr. Teitlebaum, and as you can see, he's a common sense approach to the problems, and I hope you're understanding it. And I've been following his research for quite some time now, and he talks about comprehensive medical care, not complementary, holistic. I like when he talks about comprehensive medical care, and he talks about being in charge of your body. And how many times have we said on this program, you have to be the CEO of your body? And I think in fact, in his book, Diabetes is Optional, he does mention that you're in control. And just as though you won't go into a doctor's office that has, as Dr. Jerry said, dead plants, you want to turn around, or one that's not answering your questions, you're in control. Please remember that.
That's a really important point, because I'm coming to find that there's very little that can't be effectively treated unless you're only listening to your doctor. Then you're in trouble. But your doctor is like the hammer in your healthcare toolkit, and they're taught that hammers are the only tool. All other tools are quacks. Anybody who says use a wrench or a plier or a screwdriver is a quack, and they have power to do that because that's where the money is these days. But if you use the entire healthcare toolkit, we have a nice little app. It's called Cures A to Z, so CURES, capital A-C. It's a free phone app. It was actually number 9 in iPhone Health and Wellness for a while. There's a $2 upgrade, well worth it. Got over 1 million downloads. I should have charged for the damn thing. But you go through conditions from acne to disaster. It'll say, here's how to use the best of natural and prescription therapies and how to get well. I'm not against medications. I'm just against the insane way they're used in this country based on profit and not science or sanity. That's all.
Well
taken. Very well taken.
Yeah, well taken, well said, and I hope our listeners just listen to that. Okay, common sense and get opinions, and you're in charge. That's you don't have to do everything. Even Dr. Moss in cancer says you have time. You don't have to jump into everything right away. You can get another opinion or a third opinion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So, right?
Yep. Now, how long is the show today? Do we have time to do fibro or?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we have time to do fibro, and if you have time, the board is full of questions. I'm trying to get them in between.
I love taking questions, but let's do a quick fibro.
Let's do it.
Tell people everything they need to know in 5 minutes to get well.
Wow.
If you have the combination of persistent fatigue and inability to sleep despite being exhausted, that's a paradox. You'd be sleeping all day and all night if you're exhausted. Can't sleep despite exhaustion, widespread pain, and maybe brain fog with it. You've got fibromyalgia. It's that simple. It's not complicated to diagnose. On our website at vitality101.com, that website is geared to people with fibromyalgia. There'll be a quiz that'll tell you if you have it. Take 1 minute. Our research has shown that this is an energy crisis, that then you basically trip a circuit breaker or blow a fuse that controls sleep, so you can't sleep. It controls your entire hormone system, so those all go offline despite normal tests. It controls autonomic functions, so blood pressure, pulse. You tend to get what's called orthostatic intolerance. And when muscles don't have enough energy, they get locked in a shortened position. That's why after a workout, when they're energy depleted, the muscles don't go loose and limp, they go tight. And they get stuck in that, they hurt, and then they trigger brain pain and nerve pain. So that's what's going on, and your immune system goes down with it. So our research has shown if you optimize energy with the SHINE protocol, SHINE, sleep, hormones, infections, nutrition, exercise, and we'll also optimize orthostatic intolerance, POTS, NMH, blood pressure, basically. Low blood pressure is a problem. 91% of people improve with an average 90% increase in quality of life. This is a published double-blind placebo-controlled study. So these are very treatable diseases. The big problem, there's nothing really expensive in it except my time, and you don't need my time. You can do it on your own. And so that's not patentable, so doctors don't hear about it. But again, we've treated thousands of people. I do treat people from all over the world with fibromyalgia. For those that are interested, just go on vitality101.com or nfatigue.com. There'll be information. And we have a Facebook page where I'm answering questions day in and day out on the Facebook page. So this is a very treatable illness, and holistic doctors are much more likely to know how to treat it. And good. Shall we open the lines?
Let me just ask a question, because I have one that I just took. A person has Crohn's disease, and they're being sent for MRIs and CT scans because their traditional physician thinks they have fibromyalgia. What do you say to that person?
Won't. It's not at all.
But do they need all these tests?
Well, for Crohn's disease, I don't know that all those other things, but I'm going to defer that to the doctor. The doctor may feel there's an abscess or something. Main thing for Crohn's disease, I'm going to go after infections aggressively, candida, parasite infections, bacterial infections. I'm going to use a desensitization technique called NAET for the food allergies. We'll give some glutamine. There's an herb called Boswellia, and the only form I would use is called Bosmed. 500 milligrams 2-3 times a day. Wonderful for colitis. It hits the LOX lipoxygenase pathways, which are critical there. You want to make sure you get enough zinc. The vitamin powder will give the zinc. That'll decrease the risk of getting fistula formation. If you look it up in Cures A to C, you'll see everything I just rattled off. You look up Crohn's disease or inflammatory bowel disease, it's right there.
All right.
And then you treat the secondary fibromyalgia.
One guy.
How about the phone number ending in 6177? Anything for Dr. T?
The which one?
I'm asking some of the callers, Dr. T.
Okay.
Caller 6177. Any questions for Dr. T? And caller 5686.
Mainly, doctors want to put you on meds all the time for fibro. Mm-hmm. Do you disagree with that?
No, I just would prefer to use natural remedies. We have 2 studies now that shows that a supplement called Shine Ribose, RIBOSE powder, increases energy 61%, markedly decreases pain, and helps sleep. You want to optimize everything, so I will use a mix of natural and prescription therapies. This is not a magic bullet disease. You just got to tune up the energy production overall. But I will use things for pain. Hemp oil. And for hemp oil, I'm just going to use one by Terry Naturally because it's Otherwise, a lot of products out there seem to spend all their money on the label and nothing on what's in the bottle. And so hemp oil for pain. There's an herbal mix called Curamin, Curamin. Wonderful for pain. Another one is end pain, low-dose naltrexone. There are literally over 400 treatments that can be helpful that you need to tailor which person needs which of these. But I will use a mix of natural and prescription therapies. As Dr. Ron had mentioned, what I call comprehensive medicine. Use the whole healthcare toolkit, but use the medications wisely, which most doctors are not.
Yeah, Dr. T. Dr. T. In my clinical experience, I have an independent license for practicing natural medicine in addition to my DDS, and I find a lot of hypothyroidism in fibromyalgia. Have you found any similar findings?
No. We only see it in about 80% of cases.
Only 8 out of 10. That's not bad.
8 out of 10.
Yeah, almost everybody's going to get treated for candida and a trial of thyroid hormone with fibromyalgia. I'm going to put them on the multivitamin powder. I'm going to put them on the Shine Ribose. I'm going to make sure their sleep is optimized with a mix of natural and prescription therapies.
And what's interesting, I find a lot of dental problems basically get filtered down into the thyroid from root canals or toxic as heck, periodontal disease, infections in the jawbone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And let me give you one other piece, because in fibromyalgia, because of the widespread energy crisis, the muscles throughout the body are locked in a shortened position. And what you'll get, most dentists don't realize this, is tight muscles throughout the head refer pain. Trigger points and muscles refer pain to different teeth. But not just do they refer pain, they refer sensitivity to heat, cold, and touch. So what will happen is the muscle pain is causing the tooth to be tender. The dentist taps on it. The x-rays is fine, but it's tender when they tap, and they say you need a root canal. And 15 root canals later, the person comes in to see me. And I say, you just basically wasted 15 root canals. You didn't need them. You just needed to treat the muscle to relax, and that would make the dental pain go away.
Yeah, but Dr. T, the Mercedes payments were made.
Yeah, and there's so much that can be done. I mean, I can count on my, digits for the over 3,000 people we treated with fibromyalgia, how many we haven't been able to get pain-free or at least get really solid pain relief. It really is optional, like I said at the beginning of the show. We actually, because my new patient visits are 3 hours of my one-on-one time, because these are complex illnesses. You can't just write a prescription for Lyrica and say, have a nice day. Well, most doctors do, but that doesn't work. And, I realize there's over 50 million people worldwide with the disease and one of me. So about 20 years ago, I got a patent I have the patent for a computerized doctor in the United States. So I was the first one to do that. And I made it for people with fibromyalgia so everybody could get treated. We charge $400 for it. But everybody's dreading, I have no money, I'm devastated from the disease. And my wife and I just decided to make it free to everybody, that they could go on the Vitality 101 and hit step 3 and do the program. And it's a free quiz. It'll analyze symptoms and lab tests, and it will optimize energy production. And that's the key to what you need to do to be healthy, is to optimize energy production in the disease. So it will put together a comprehensive treatment protocol for optimizing energy production, and it's available for everybody. My hobby is how to make effective treatment available for 50 million people, without having drug company money behind me.
Yeah, Dr. T, have you come across the relationship with fluoride? Because that messes up the electron transfer in the mitochondria, which will decrease energy production.
Yeah, and it messes up iodine and thyroid as well. So the iodine, I'll use a triiodine, 6.25 milligram. I don't usually go higher unless there's breast cancer. And that will tend to flush the fluoride out of the body.
Dr. T, on thyroid, before I open up a couple more lines, how about reverse T3? What type of thyroid hormone replacement do you like? Do you like the synthetic or the natural?
We could do a 1 hour show on just on that. But let me give the thing. Everybody's different. No one size fits all. Most people do better with Armour thyroid or Nature thyroid, which is a desiccated. Some people do better with Synthroid. They don't tolerate the active T3 hormone. Some people have thyroid receptor resistance, and especially say if the reverse T3 is elevated or high normal and they don't respond to the others, then giving a high dose of the Cytomel or compounded T3. Some do better with the immediate release Cytomel, some do better with the sustained release. Everybody's different. So this is part of the tailoring process and tailoring the treatment to the individual.
Okay, so the question was from a listener that they already have an underactive thyroid and their physician says, quote unquote, their thyroid is normal. They probably should have another look.
Tell them to kiss off. Tell the doctor to kiss off. You're not going to teach. You know what? Yeah, it just, God bless them. They're a good doctor. They're just clueless. And you would not go to Jerry for heart bypass surgery, and you wouldn't go to the cardiologist, the heart surgeon, for a dental problem. You go to the right person. You're obviously not at the right person for the thyroid problem. Yeah. So find somebody who is.
Yep. How about 5825? Any questions for Dr. T? Okay, let's go down to 9300. Let me open that up a second. Hold on, 9300. Your microphone is not open. 9300. Anything for Dr. T? Nope. And how about 7199? Anything for Dr. T? All right. So we have a few notes. The rest I took offline. So Dr. T, most fibromyalgia then with proper SHINE protocol and caring physician, most of these individuals can be helped.
Absolutely. I mean, I had the disease in 1975. I got a nasty viral infection and knocked me out of medical school, actually left me homeless for a good part of the year because I was paying my own way through med school, and I couldn't function. I was sleeping in parks. But it's like the universe put a holistic homeless medical school sign on my park bench. And naturopaths came by, herbalists came by, energy. All these different people came by, and they taught me bits and pieces, and sometimes they even had a pizza, and I got to eat, But that's how I learned myself how to get well, and I was able to recover, go back to medical school, got my medical honors, and did great. And I spent the last 40-some years researching, writing, and teaching about these illnesses because these are very, very treatable. Fibromyalgia truly is optional. That's funny, I write that on Facebook, and I get these hate letters. Most people are going, really, more information from people. No, it isn't. Die. I mean, it's crazy.
Jeez.
But it's like, it's optional. But your doctor doesn't know how to treat it. Find somebody who does. Holistic doctors are much more likely to know how to do that. But again, we treat people worldwide. I'm happy to help you recover, or if you have a friend with fibromyalgia, send them to vitality101.com, and I have a Q&A section on there where people can ask questions also. We don't do whole case histories, but, we answer questions like we've had today. I spend almost probably a fifth of my time answering that kind of stuff a good bit because people need to have some place they can go for answers. But yeah, this is very treatable.
Yeah, Dr. T, have you noticed any impact from the Wi-Fi and the EMFs on the fibromyalgia?
Well, here's the thing. Dr. Klinkhardt is doing work with retroviruses, and it's fascinating work. He has a whole protocol that we're just starting to use for that. Retroviruses are viruses that put their DNA into our own DNA and it builds up, about 5-10% of our DNA is made up of retroviral material over the last God knows how long. And the question is whether the EMF or ELF or microwave frequencies will go ahead and activate those latent retroviruses. So that's a big question mark right now. It's part of what I mentioned at the beginning of the show about the radio frequency pollution. And it's when you have frequencies that resonate with the frequency of that particle or the energy of that particle, that's when you start to get resonant frequencies and you start to shift things in the body. We don't even look for that, and anybody who tries to look for that will be closed down because that threatens big industry. So, I'm not going to go on a political rant right now, but anyway, that's a big area that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, so with the coming 5G, we can expect more.
I wouldn't presume that. It depends on the frequencies of the thing, but eventually we go from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5G. And when we finally go to 6G, it would be nice to have research to see what frequencies would be best and simply shift to that without it being a big wrenching thing for people or the industry. It's not hard. It just takes common sense.
Well, Dr. Jerry does a lot with this, so he's ahead of the curve in electromagnetic treatment also.
Yeah. I know Dr. Barry Trower from the UK is very outspoken about the microwaves used in society and how detrimental they are.
Jerry, if you email me, my email address is fatigue, F-A-T-I-G-U-E, doc, D-O-C, @gmail.com. I'll send you a link to a thing, a lecture to practitioners by Dr. Klinkhardt, where he discusses this and in the much bigger sphere of treating aggressive viruses. And I'll send you an information sheet on that as well if you'd like.
What was that email again? I'm sorry.
Fatigue, F-A-T-I-G-U-E, doc, D-O-C.
Yeah.
So fatigue doc @gmail.com.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I'm invisible over here. It's okay. No, I'm just kidding.
You're the good-looking guy in the corner while the drums are talking over the bar. Yeah.
I'm going to be quiet now. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, basically, people with hypothyroidism are much more sensitive to the EMFs we find. Once we get the thyroid working, of course, the adrenals are all intertwined with that. It's amazing. Their allergies disappear, their sense of well-being, heart problems improve. And it's just, it's underreported, undertreated because, the blood test says normal. Like you said, it's a lot of nonsense. And, good old Broda Barnes with his 20 years of research had phenomenal, diagnostic techniques and results. So,
well, it's as big an area as biochemistry that we put blinders on, and it's crazy that we do that. It's not hard to fix. You just set the frequencies so it doesn't interfere with the body's regulatory systems, but they won't do it because they're afraid it's going to cost businesses money.
Well,
Dr. T, I see you want to live to 100. If you know Dr. Russell Jaffe, he says he's going to make it to 125.
120. In Judaism, that's the lifespan. As 120 years old. But my goal is to die very young. But
die happy. Die happy.
But to die very young, but very late in life.
I like Jack Benny's line. He said, "If I can't take it with me, I don't want to go."
There you go. Yeah, no, aging is optional.
Exactly. Well, I think we have a great. You really just boiled it down. I mean, I guess one question because of my background in medicine: is there any disease that pops into your mind that, just like when Alzheimer's can be caused by Lyme disease and Chris Christopherson, any disease that doctors miss in fibromyalgia that maybe it is not fibromyalgia? Is there anything that pops in your mind?
Well, here's the thing. The fibromyalgia is often triggered from other illnesses. So, for example, polymyalgia rheumatica can trigger fibromyalgia. But it also, it blew my mind. I still remember early in practice, I had this 80-year-old woman who flew from Atlanta up to Maryland to see me. And, I did my usual 3-hour thing, but I looked at her blood tests. In the first 30 seconds, her SED rate was 80. And I said, you don't have fibromyalgia, you've got polymyalgia rheumatica. You may have a secondary fibro, but she didn't fit the pattern. The doctor never bothered to even second-guess SED rate in this one for polymyalgia rheumatica. So part of what I do is not just to treat the fibromyalgia and look for the causes, but to look for other contributing factors that may be going on. But that you have lupus doesn't mean you don't have fibromyalgia. It's 1/3 of people with lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, other autoimmune diseases will get a secondary fibromyalgia, and then they both have to be treated.
Well, it's very interesting. You mentioned lupus. Had a patient several years ago that basically was given a drug, Bendictin, during pregnancy. And when I energetically tested her, the drug was trapped in her liver. And when I used a homeopathic to neutralize it, 9 months later, we got rid of the lupus. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, it's amazing. The immune system Well, that would be a good topic for a whole other show. But our subconscious directs the immune system also. For example, if you go into hypnotic state right after you burn yourself and you say no injury to the area from that state, I won't blister. The skin may turn white and fall off because it's dead. But that blister is immune reaction to perceived threat, when you get the burn. And so much autoimmune disease is directed by feeling that we're in a hostile environment, not to mention all the chemicals and all the other things that throw everything off. There's a lot that can be done for autoimmune diseases that are just common sense, but that doctors don't even think about. It's if you have it, we'll give you a $24,000 a year biological modifier, but we won't give you doxycycline, which in studies at the NIH are shown to be highly effective for rheumatoid arthritis, because, God, that's 10 cents a pill. Who's going to teach me about that? Or who's going to all this other stuff? The doctors have a hammer, and they'll hammer in the morning, they'll hammer in the evening, they'll hammer you all over your head. But use the whole toolkit of all these other things, and right now, the one illness that's diming me is ALS, amyotrophic sclerosis. That's a tough one. But most other illnesses are falling by the wayside and becoming treatable. But if you know anything for ALS that you found really, that's the one, CRPS fell away, reflex sympathetic dystrophy, that's now treatable. That was one that was stymieing me for a couple decades, and now it's ALS. So there's very little that can't be effectively treated if you use a whole healthcare toolkit.
Yeah,
and
Dr.
muscle
T
testing is really powerful if it's done right.
Oh, I agree with you. I just had a patient refer to me with ALS, and he basically had a lot of heavy metals in the brain, in the cervical area, along with a pesticide. I'm finding almost across the board glyphosate in patients with chronic problems. And it's really mind-blowing. And I used Yoshiaki Amura's direct resonance testing, which makes muscle testing so much more powerful and accurate, where we can pinpoint the exact substance in the area causing the problem.
Yeah, I'm still needing to be convinced that the technology that's used, because when I play with the electrodes on these, I get even putting them within the manufacturing specified things, I get totally different results. So I still like muscle testing in the hands of a good practitioner. We actually, our foundation funded a study using NAET, which uses muscle testing and kind of a tapping technique for autism. 23 of the 30 autistic kids are back in regular school after 1 year, as opposed to 0 in the untreated control group. So this is a very powerful area. It's the area of biophysics, equally as powerful, I think at least as much so, as biochemistry, and ignored at our peril.
Well, there's no code for muscle testing, so you can't get paid for it.
Yeah, and that's why people, that's a whole other topic too, about, our healthcare system and insurance system. But the bottom line is, if your transmission broke in your car or your heating system at your home, you're not going to wait for the insurance company to fix it. Because they won't. And you're not going to stay down, you're not going to drive and shiver there in the cold. You're going to pay and get the damn thing fixed. But we've gotten so in this thing of, well, if the insurance company should pay for it, well, they're not going to. What do you do then? And our healthcare system is a dinosaur headed towards a cliff. It won't change until, Winston Churchill say, you can count on politicians to do the right thing when they have absolutely no other choice. And as our healthcare system heads over the cliff, that's what's happening. And that's why I'm hesitant to tie it to national health care. I think that works overseas, but not in this country because our government's bought off. We have to fix that first.
It's not even working there because my son-in-law is the president of the Spanish Diabetes Association. He's an endocrinologist. He was trained at Penn, but he's in Seville and Malaga right now and Barcelona. But a lot of his colleagues now are not taking patients from the national health system because it's just not working.
Yeah,
they're having their own private clinics now.
Yeah, and there's space for both. I think that the National Health Service is brilliant for clear-cut things like heart attacks or stuff like that. But for complex illnesses that you actually have to spend time and listen to the person, no. or for illnesses that don't have a big financial driven, supported by pharmaceutical, lobby behind them. No, you're screwed. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, as we tell our listeners, the first thing we do is go to the end and look at the conflicts of interest and then we'll really look at the numbers and see how they mix absolute risk with relative risk in order to get the predetermined result they want. And it's just awful.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Most problems are easy to solve. My friends in IT that give us 4 hours in a hot tub with a bottle of tequila and we can solve most of the world's problems. But it's getting past the moneyed interests. And our foundation is actually doing a program, what we call the 1 minute fix for the American government, where each citizen will have a $100 credit that they can give to the candidates of their choice. So you go to say Amazon managed it. You go on and go on Amazon and go, hi, Ron, you've got $85 left for 2019. What candidate do you want it to go to? You'd say put in the name of the candidates and whatever, and you say $20. It'll go straight from the Treasury to the candidate. And this way there'll be a $20 billion pool of small money available to counterbalance the $4 billion a year from large money and industry. When that happens, that'll be a simple thing. And that's something that the media will get behind because they'll get the money, and the politicians will get behind because they'll get the money. And then the politicians actually have a chance to work for us. Right now we put our politicians in an environment where they have no chance to get elected if they don't get corrupted. And we blame them? No. This is our job to fix. And it's as simple as that 1 minute fix.
Yeah, Dr. T, I like Robin Williams' solution. Just like NASCAR, all the politicians should have jackets with their sponsor's name on it.
I think that would be brilliant.
Well, Dr. T,
well, gentlemen.
Thank you so much. You've been here an hour. I know we took a lot of your time, but I know our audience is really appreciating it, and we'll put this on our Facebook page and refer them to Vitality 101 so they can. And then the other one is Enfatigue.
END, FATIGUE.com. And anybody interested in an appointment I treat the fibromyalgia. The diabetes is all in the book. The fibromyalgia, you can contact me at fatigue, doc, D-O-C. So FATIGUE.DOC @gmail.com.
And the book is Diabetes is Optional. It's on Amazon. It's a great read, easy to read, and a lot of information. Thank you, Dr. T. I appreciate it, and we hope to have you back at some time in the near future.
Happy to do a show on pain or any other topic, gentlemen. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
So
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, that was very interesting. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, we have our email at docronradio@gmail.com, docronradio@gmail.com, Dr. Ron Unfiltered Uncensored on Facebook, and Instagram under Dr. Ron, so we can get back to you. And I hope you all enjoyed Dr. Teitlebaum. It's interesting, really honored for him to take his time to be here today. He's, as you say, he's been on the Dr. Oz show. He's been on CNN, and you can see how his career is going now. And he's been on Dr. Ron Unfiltered Uncensored, but
it's going up. Come on, think positive.
Well, this was an extra show, ladies and gentlemen, and we did this because we knew this is the only time we could get Dr. Teitlebaum, and we knew his information would be great for you. So, Dr. Jerry, thank you.
You're welcome, and I learned a lot. I think he's basically a self-made physician, judging from his background, and they're the best kinds because they're the guys that get out there and flip the rocks to find the answers and not just look in the textbooks.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to say it. And he said he was living in the street. I mean,
right, that's what I mean.
Yeah, he was there. He lived the life. He walked the walk.
Yeah, and he built up a lot of good immunity living on the park bench.
Exactly. So this has been a great program. I learned a lot too, and I forgot about doxycycline and rheumatoid arthritis, to be honest with you. But that's an older treatment. But, it is too cheap maybe to be effective, huh?
Most likely.
All right. Well, let's get Freddie Cooper here and Doctor in the House. And ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jerry and Dr. Ron are going to sign out. Dr. Ron Unfiltered, Uncensored. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have a program Tuesday at 7 p.m. Dr. Sim, we talk about movement disorders, which will include Parkinson's, Tourette syndrome. And I guess, Dr. Jerry, it'll be a relationship to the dental mechanism. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
So looking forward, ladies and gentlemen, Tuesday at 7. We'll send out an email blast, and we'll also be on our Facebook page, Dr. Ron Unfiltered, Uncensored. So with an attitude of gratitude, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule, and I hope everyone has a great weekend. And we'll see you Tuesday on the radio. Have a great night, everybody.
And Dr. Ron,
yes.
Just remember, it's better to walk alone than with the crowd going in the wrong direction.
If you're going down the street and everybody's coming at you, you're going in the wrong direction too. So. All right, Jerry. Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Oh yeah, the doctor's in the house, y'all. He's in the house, man. Listen to this man. He got some good news for you. Hey, everybody, gather near. The doctor's in the house, so lend him your ear. The things he can say might even make your day. He might even help your pain go away. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. And to send your questions or comments to docronradio@gmail.com. And we just had a great time today. Hope you learned a lot.
What's bothering you? The doctor is in the house. If you have a pain, call the doctor. If you have a sprain, call the doctor. Let the doctor know what you're going through. Let him tell you what's good for you, because the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Call the doctor. Call the doctor. Call the doctor. Call the doctor. Tell me what's happening now.